Another day of promoting education reform. Another day of trying to get on with the job. Another day of the Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, batting away those inevitable questions on leadership.
Do you want a pledge of loyalty from your Foreign Minister?
I answered a lot of these questions yesterday, and to be frank with you, I really don't have much to add.
But Prime Minister, will you be holding talks with Kevin Rudd about the leadership when he arrives back from Mexico?
Well, look, I'd refer you to my last answer. I'm not going to be engaged in running commentary about multiple reports in different newspapers about different things.
With the Labor leadership issue at a crippling stalemate and no side making a move yet, Foreign Minister Kevin Rudd remained on the diplomatic circuit in Mexico with his G20 counterparts. He was making no comment. Back at home, the line of questioning of Julia Gillard was becoming too much for her colleagues beside her.
Do you believe you have the numbers to fend off the leadership challenge?
As I said yesterday, I enjoy the strong support of my colleagues.
Mr Garret and Mr Bradbury, do you pledge your loyalty to the Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister has my full support. She always has had.
Can I be very clear about this and to say what I have always said, publicly and privately, to anyone that has asked me, and that is that I support Prime Minister Julia Gillard, and in fact I think it would be fair to say that I am one of her strongest supporters. But I read in the paper today, as I've read on a few occasions in the last couple of days, that I am somehow listed on a list of so-called undecided people.
The relentless media questioning of Julia Gillard and her ministry and backbenchers is not going to go away for as long as the leadership remains unresolved. And both sides know that one way or another, it has to be. What's now at play is a form of psychological warfare as they try to stare each other down. Part of the Rudd camp's warfare appears to involve leaking lists of what they claim to be the Foreign Minister's caucus supporters and undecideds to the media. But a side effect is this is flushing out caucus members furious about where they've been slotted.
It's psychological in a sense, but it's a very blunt instrument to use. I think people are being painted into camps. I mean, we've heard some fairly raucous objection to names being used, included. I mean, David Bradbury for one. People are being put into camps, often without their knowledge, without their say-so. It's more a blunt instrument than a refined psychological tactic.
Can I make this point? That in relation to each of those articles, not one journalist has asked me for my view. As I said, both privately and publicly, I have stated that I support the Prime Minister. Now, I don't know what I have to do to go beyond that. If it means getting a tattoo, I'd consider it. But somehow I think my wife might object to that. But frankly, I think that I've said all that I can say.
I think if this is emanating from the Rudd camp, as evidence tends to suggest, Rudd's political character is one of great caution, but this is a high-risk approach. It could either crash through and achieve a breakthrough for him, or, as we're starting to see today, I think create quite a very strong backlash. I mean, an approach like this could well kill his chances altogether.
If people are going to write stories where they haven't even bothered to pick up the phone and to ask you a simple question, any journalist, and I defy any journalist in this country that has spoken to me about this issue, that suggests that they had anything other than a definitive answer of my support for the Prime Minister to come forward. There won't be one person that will come forward and say that. Yet these things are printed in our newspapers for whatever purpose.
Political leadership battles are not for the faint-hearted, and there's always a purpose for leaks. It's in the interests of both sides to talk up their numbers, but especially for the underdog.
We're looking for a bandwagon effect to take hold, to try and get some momentum into a leadership push. And I think we're not wide of the mark if we draw similarities to the campaign against Kim Beazley when he was opposition leader back in 2006. He was fairly ruthlessly undermined. We had lists, we had names of who'd lost faith in Beazley. We're seeing a very similar tactic here.
Yeah, fancy meeting you fellas down here. You've got a sudden interest in defence, haven't you?
Do you regret dumping Kevin Rudd?
Oh, listen, I'm not here to discuss. I'm not discussing any internal Labor Party matters. So thank you very much for your.
Why are you in the column as supporting Kevin Rudd?
Thank you very much.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
Thank you very much.
The list tactic, and whoever's responsible for it, is not only flushing out the likes of marginal seat holder David Bradbury, the former Speaker Harry Jenkins is also annoyed and has told colleagues he's behind Julia Gillard and not on the undecided list. Key ministers have echoed his sentiments. It's a measure of this standoff that right now it's all about tactical one-upmanship and who's on what list, at least until Kevin Rudd returns home and there's some kind of showdown.